And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show, and this is going to be episode 444. So I hope you guys had a great day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, so I actually ended up getting off of work early enough, and then I ended up getting home later than I thought, life shit that ends up always happening. So we're not actually going to have a topic tonight per se, actually, but
big words.
Oh God.
So what's gonna end up happening is someone sent me a video to watch from John Campia's YouTube channel, because we had the big Paramount and Warner Brothers merger. So on Thursday, when me and Joe have the show, we're gonna cover it then, because for a topic like that, I have to have my thoughts all layered out in a bunch of different areas, because topics that big, I need a couple days to simmer on my thoughts on it, because that's a lot to go over. We had to go over the saga of what ended up happening to get us to this point, why Netflix didn't get it, why Paramount might not be as good as the partner to have this, Warner Brothers company. So it's a lot to go over. So that's why I told people, hey, we're going to probably end up getting it done as a topic either Thursday or Sunday, just depending on how I feel, because, it's a big topic. So it's not something I could just willy-nilly just cover right now, because, I'm a genius and I like to let my thoughts simmer, actually,
Is that what you're doing, MSK?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, my God. Geez.
Well, that's what if that's what you want to believe about yourself, you're a genius.
Oh, my God. So people just come here and just, man, it's fine. It's fine. I am too much of a top G charismatic Riz master.
Wow.
It's probably a good thing that I can't have a camera right now, because if you saw my face to that statement.
WZ actually nominated you for best facial expressions on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have my camera and everything set back up within the next couple of weeks. There was a problem with my desktop and I had to send it off. And the thing is, I'm having to use my work laptop, and I can't download the software I need to use my camera. So I'm kind of stuck with what I've got right now.
Yep. All right. But it's also good to have Bob back. We haven't had Bob in a couple of weeks. So, he left me. I give him some really good pay here. It's a 4-year contract, $10 million a year. And Bob was like, I'm taking my vacation time now. So that's what ended up happening, So we'll just do intros really quickly, and then we'll just go and talk for a little bit, and then we'll just go into the video, actually. But yeah, as you guys know, for me, tomorrow I'm gonna go file my taxes, and hopefully it all goes smoothly, because last year I had to wait an additional few days because the final number on my Social Security number was messed up, and then I had to go to the lady, have her change it. Now, if it's wrong this year, going to this new lady that we have as a boss is just, oh my God. Can I just live in a world without women bosses? People know I shit on women, but women bosses are the worst. Oh my goodness. They always tell me, hey, tell me this in advance. And I tell them in advance, weeks in advance, and it's still not done. It is the worst, man. Oh my God. And the new lady, she doesn't know what to do. And I don't want to put more pressure on her, but it's like, God damn, man. But hopefully.
Well, okay, hold on. You said you're telling the lady boss and what to do, and it hasn't been done yet. Isn't she supposed to be telling you what to do?
Oh no. Okay. So essentially, if anything the other higher ups don't want to do, they have the store managers do it. And we have a new store manager lady, and she's just a ball of tacos. Let's just say that, actually, So the last year we had a different store manager who's been there for decades, longer than I was, and she managed to do things. Even though I asked her, she would yell at me. It would still get done, right? This new one, today, the grease funnel wasn't working, and we have to tell her, and she was like, "Will you fix it?" How am I supposed to fix this thing? Just, oh God, I hate female bosses. They're the worst, but it's okay. I have the tools to cope with whatever life throws at me. All right, Joe, how you doing, man? How was your day today?
Yeah, it was all right. We were up kind of late last night doing the show, and had to get up early for work. But other than that, just kind of got things done today. And I just want to say I've had a lot of good female bosses, actually. I've had a lot of bad male bosses. I had a few that were just drove me nuts. But, my track record with I've worked a lot of different places, and I don't know, I think I'd about 50-50 on male and female bosses, and I'd say both male and female offer some good, some bad. So, MSK seems to have a problem with women, where
Oh,
I want to reiterate, I do not have a problem with women.
I don't have a problem with her. It's just like she's not even that bad as the older one we used to have. She's not. It's just like she just doesn't get anything done because she doesn't know what to do. And it's like, well, if you don't know what to do in your position, how the fuck am I supposed to know? I'm telling you, and you're supposed to know to get it done. And it's just like, oh my god, it's okay. It'll get better.
Like that in my life.
Yeah, and it's like, I know it'll get better, but it's like, hey, we got to get shit done right now. But it's fine, guys. It's fine. I'm okay. I can cope with life. Being tall and good looking and successful,
delusional.
You do realize, MSK, that you seem to be the common denominator in all of this.
I know, yeah. It's all its women bosses are the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god. Yeah. But Bob, how you doing, man? Did you end up watching Scream 7? I'm gonna watch it on Wednesday.
No, okay. I was gonna go, but not only am I without a computer, but I had a bunch of other stuff going on, so I didn't get to go see it this weekend. I heard it was okay. I mean, to be honest, I still haven't seen 5 and 6, so I probably do need to watch both of those before I watch this new one.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I've heard mixed reviews. Some really like it, some really hate it. I tell people this. I'm gonna go watch it for myself, and I will give you guys my opinion on it. And I want people to understand when it comes to like movies too. Like there's movies where even if I like them, I feel like they all still have this problem that me and Joe talked about yesterday. You just forget about them so quick, and unless someone actually brings it up to you, you just don't remember them as well. Like if someone told me, "Hey, do you like No Way Home?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like No Way Home," but that's a movie that I can still like somewhat vividly remember because the experience with it. But there's movies where unless you ask me have I watched it in the last 5-6 years, it's like, man, I probably just memory hold the freak out of that thing. I don't even know where it's locked in here in these like cabinets in my brain.
Yeah, a movie has to be really memorable. It's hard sometimes. Like we were talking about John Carter yesterday, and like I remember liking it, but now I'm just sitting there trying to remember what happened.
Yeah,
so long ago.
Yeah, dude.
When you get my age, just everything just out of your brain.
I remember that part where he was attacking all those aliens by himself and he was just ripping through them. Yeah. That's the only thing I remember in that movie. Everything. Oh, and the ending for some reason. I just don't remember much about that movie. Even that weird Tim Burton one. I remember like the sex scene and like the final scene of it. That's it,
Oh yeah. The movie you were talking about yesterday, The Dark Shadows.
Yeah, Dark Shadows. What an awful movie, man.
Yeah, that was based off an old TV show, and I never watched that when I was out when I was younger, and something I never got into.
But Bob, do you have that problem too? Like for like a lot, it's not just one movie; it's a lot of them. I feel like this kind of thing happened mid 20, or like late 2000s, mid 2010s, like. Movies would just come out and you watch them, even if you like them, you just don't remember them as well. What the fuck's going on? Maybe we're just old men, and maybe it's our fault actually, because that Mortal Kombat movie was so garbage. I actually sadly remember why I don't like it in many different areas, but I wouldn't watch that again if you tell me to. I could review it right now on top of my brain and tell you why I absolutely despise that movie. Like even a movie like Top Gun Maverick, which I loved, I do like that movie. I even start to remember that one on some aspects too.
I think it just depends on the movie. But I will say that there are a lot more movies nowadays that aren't very memorable. Like there are films that do really well at the box office, and I couldn't tell you anything about them. The Avatar movies, for example, those aren't really exactly memorable movies, but they tear it up at the box office. Or
that has to be the first one. That has to be the first one because that's the movie I watched in the theaters and I just didn't remember it all, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're terrible movies or anything like that. Just not very memorable, at least not to me. But Top Gun Maverick, you mentioned that one. That's actually one that I do remember a lot. I really like that film. But nowadays, there's a lot of movies that just aren't very memorable, and I think it's just the way that they're structured or the content of them. There's just nothing memorable about them that stands out.
Yeah, well, that with Avatar, it's the spectacle, and then the last movie was just like the other movies, so it was, let's redo the whales attacking everybody. Let's redo the family getting captured, which I think they got captured like 8 times in this last movie. It's like, okay, they captured the family again. Oh, we got to get them out. Oh, they captured them again. Oh, it's like, I don't know. This last one was real disappointing. I actually liked the second Avatar better than the first one, but this one it just kind of is like a rehash of the last one. The boy goes off with the whale, and the whale gets kicked out of the whale family, but then they all come back and they beat everybody because, you know, I don't know, nature or something. They just decide to all team up. It just, but like I said, they're not that memorable, and nobody talks about them much after they come out. So a lot of people say they don't have a big cultural impact, but then I guess that's kind of true as far as what the movies have to say or what people remember. They're not memeable, and things like that. But their impact is in the box office. They all make $1 billion. So it's like they're going to keep making them. Oops, sorry.
Oh, it's also, man, I remember the Sonic movies pretty well. I remember like a decent amount of movies pretty well. It's just those really odd ones that don't stand out at all. Like, I'd never even seen Men in Black 1 or 2. And I remember watching the third one just randomly. We watched it like after the Avengers first movie back in 2012. I don't remember jack shit about that Men in Black 3 movie. I remember like the twist of it all, but I was like, all right, I guess,
That's when they went back in time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Josh Brolin did a great job playing Tommy Lee Jones as younger, but that movie wasn't that great. The first two were pretty good. I really enjoyed the first one. The second was pretty good. But then they redid it with Men in Black International. I didn't even bother with that. That just looked awful.
I never saw that one either.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another remake, or I don't know. Maybe it was a continuation. Who knows? But they tried Tessa Thompson and what's his face, Thor there. So I don't know. It just didn't click for me. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I know you didn't see it, Bob. But I know they do that all the time, and they just, well, let's reboot it, let's remake it, let's do this continuation, put some people in it, and try to squeeze the most milk out of this thing we can.
Yeah. What other movie is there, man? There's too many that I've seen. Not porn, guys. People saying, you just watch porn. I don't. I'm retired, actually. It's just, man, the last TV show I watched was like Superman and Lois season 2 and The Flash season 8. Like the last TV show seasons that I watched. I did enjoy Superman and Lois a lot. I thought it was actually really good. It was just, haven't had the chance to just finish out the entirety of it. Invincible, I remember binging that an entire day, and the only reason why I didn't want to go back and rewatch it as it was airing episodes live is because it takes so long for them to get done. I just told myself, you know what? I'm probably just going to go and watch all of this when it's done, because you'll get like 5 episodes in, and they'll be like, you know what? We're taking a 5-month break.
Yeah, then you're going to take a 3-year break between season 2 and 3. And
yeah. I'll just wait till it's done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The streaming, the way they do it with streaming is so bad. I mean, it took 9 years to get 5 seasons of Stranger Things out, and now I don't even care to watch it because it's like, well, it took so long and I heard so much about it. Because I had people at work were always talking about season 1 and 2, and I said, well, once it gets, because Netflix or whatever and all these streaming services cancel everything after season 2, so I said, well, I'm going to give it a little bit because if it gets canceled early, I don't want to invest in it. And as it kept going, I'm like, well, maybe I'll get into it. But then they had delay and delay and delay. And I'm just like, I heard all the stories. I heard everyone talking about it. Now I don't even care because I know what happens in it. So I don't know. I miss the old days when I was a kid. You just wait till September. The new shows came out. You got 24 episodes. Then you had summer break. And then you come back the next year and you got 24 more episodes of your favorite sitcom.
Oh, another streamer movie that was on Amazon Prime or Prime Video, as they say, The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt.
I liked that one.
I actually like that one, but it's hard. But it's like another one of those where, like, unless I told you, you wouldn't just be like, man, I recommend watching The Tomorrow War. Even though it was a good movie, I actually enjoyed that movie. I thought it was actually pretty good.
The thing that most recently came out with Chris Pratt, or I shouldn't say most recently, but I guess it's been a couple of years now, was I really liked The Terminal List. It's not exactly a movie, but I mean, it's a streaming show on Amazon, but I liked that better as far as something from him than The Tomorrow War. I did like The Tomorrow War, but I thought The Terminal List was better.
Yeah, I didn't
I
see
mean,
it. I don't have Amazon.
yeah, that one's pretty good. But I know what you're saying, MSK. Yeah, that's just another movie that is just not quite memorable. It was fun, but it's not one I'm going to go rewatch.
Yeah. That movie got a little weird though. I thought they were just sending people in to fight in their street clothes and things. Like, what? I don't know. And then the ending was a little crazy, but it was a fun thing to watch. You just like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
some
I
of it was
think
a
I
little
watched it when it
unbelievable.
first came out, and I haven't watched it since.
Yeah. That's like a lot of movies. You just watch once and you're like, that was enjoyable, but I'm never going to see that again. Unless, I'm real bored and it pops up on like, I don't know, TBS or TNT on a Saturday afternoon and I have nothing going on. I might watch a bit of it, but there's just a lot of movies like that. You just watch once and you're kind of like, eh.
Although this weekend I just saw The Housemaid finally. That was actually better than what I expected it to be, but that's another one that I wouldn't watch again.
Is that with the
did
one
that come
with
out in VOD? That's Sydney Sweeney, right?
Yeah, that's the one with Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, it was better than what I expected. A friend of mine from work, she'd read the book and she kept telling me you need to watch this one. And so I finally broke down and watched it with my fiance this weekend, and both of us liked it, but it's not one I'm gonna rush out and rewatch or anything.
Yeah, or even with some of the new movies, like you remember like very little scenes that stand out to you. Like also it's very little scenes that stand out to you too. Like ones that really grab your attention. Like I remember just like Django, when that part where fucking hell. Oh, it's that Leonardo DiCaprio scene where he breaks the glass in his hand and everything. Like I don't know, for some reason it feels like movies years ago, at least before the 2010 period started, they had so many memorable scenes. Just your brain just like loved.
He really cut his hand in that scene, don't you?
He did. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and like you could tell there was some like intensity with movies like that. I'm not saying like all new movies are bad, but they have these things where it feels like the actors and actresses just don't really take any risks. Actually, it feels like I miss that intensity from certain movies like that. Or people will say like, what's that movie that Michelle Yeoh was a part of? It was A24's like first highest grossing movie ever. Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it won like an Academy Award. No one talks about that movie. That's not a talked about Academy Award winning movie. Keep in mind, I don't even think awards are meaningful in that aspect anyway. But that's another movie that got a lot of praise and accolades, but no one really talks about that. Like Sinners is another one too. Like I haven't seen Sinners yet, but I've heard some interesting things about it. Like, is Sinners one of those Academy Award winning movies that people are going to be talking about years and years from now? Probably,
Let me put it this way: as far as with Sinners go, I really liked Sinners. I had a good time with that one. That being said, I don't know if it was 16 Academy Award nominations good. Like I thought it was really good. I mean, I'm not surprised that it was nominated for Best Picture, but I mean, I just don't know if it was quite that good. But I still had a good time with it. I liked the music. I thought the acting was pretty good, and to me, it was kind of like if From Dusk Till Dawn was set in the 1930s.
Yeah, it was that they did kind of play off of that, or I don't want to say rip it off, but it was like that. But you got to look at it was nominated for all these awards, but look at the competition. I mean, there wasn't much.
Really bad these days. Like, do you remember when they nominated like Army of the Thieves? That horrible Zack Snyder zombie movie, Army of the Thieves.
Yeah, I remember that.
That might be just peak straight to Netflix garbage.
Well, what was that movie? The one about the trans drug lord last year. That was the big popular one.
Oh, Amelia Perez, was that the name?
Yeah, that was it. And the guy, the trans person that was the lead. Everyone thought that they were going to win it, but then there was like all these tweets he did that were real like pro-Nazi or something. I forget exactly what it was. He had these really harsh tweets back in the day, or his anti-Islamist tweets. So that kind of messed his thing up. But that movie, I watched part of it. It was so bad. I mean, the singing was awful. I couldn't get it. I was like,
okay, so when it first went to Netflix, I had come home from work and my fiance had just turned it on, she had got like 5 minutes into the movie, and she wanted to watch it. So I was like, all right. And so I sat down, we started watching it. I guess it was about 30 minutes through. She just looks at me and she was like, what the hell is this? This is terrible.
I don't know. I saw the video where they're singing the, man to woman, woman to man, penis to vagina or something. I'm like,
yeah,
what? They showed that clip on Film Threat when I was watching one of the reviews of it, and I thought it was like a parody movie. I'm like, is this like a joke? And no, it was serious. And Alan Ing from Film Threat saying that. I just always get that in my head. I honestly thought it was like a Wayans Brothers spoof movie, like Scary Movie. I don't know. And then it turns out it was serious. And I tried watching it, and it was just too. I just no, like no, I'm not. I'm just done. It was so bad. But
my problem is that once I start watching a movie, I have to finish it, even if it's awful. I've got to watch it. Like even when I was younger, I'd be sitting up in the middle of the night watching those really bad movies, like on television, like late at night, those bad B movies, and I'd sit there just like, oh gosh, this is terrible, but I couldn't switch the channel because I needed to know what happened.
Yeah, that's we used to in Detroit, we used to have these, they called them creature features, and they would show these really bad 50s black and white movies, and we'd watch those. And like you, when I was younger, I'd always have to complete, but now every once in a while, I'm like, I just can't. It was one of them. And when I actually watched it, I was at a friend's house and they turned it on, and I caught it maybe 15, 20 minutes in, I think, I don't know. And they were trying to explain where it was. And then about 10 minutes after that, I just said, I'm done. You can keep watching it, but I'm going to go do something else in your house. So we shut it off and we did something else. But I don't know. It just was pretty awful. But going back to your thing about Sinners, I think that's part of the reason, it's going to win for like makeup and stuff. And they got nominated because I think Michael B. Jordan did a great job acting in it. And, but I don't think he's going to. I think Timothée Chalamet will probably win.
Agreed. I think he'll probably win that. And maybe Ryan Coogler could possibly get Best Director, but even then, I don't think he's going to get it either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I enjoyed that movie, and I really enjoyed the music scene, the big, like, I guess like a mid-movie long video, music video when they did like music from the past, the present, and then they got to the future. I don't know, I thought it was really spectacular. I really enjoyed how they pieced it all together and, just kind of showed that. And I was like, wow, it was like a real interesting left turn in the movie. In a movie like that, I didn't expect it. Like,
right.
I mean, it was tried to, it's a vampire movie that they're trying to ground in realism and somewhat, some believable, it's got to be believable. And then they have this like music video that you can actually get the future. I could understand maybe some of if the actors there or the musicians, they were playing music from the past, but you get to see it from the past, but then all of a sudden you get the future influence. But I did, right. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was really good. And the young man who played the young man who was the guitar player, his father was a preacher, and his name slips me.
Right.
I think that was his first acting role, maybe second, and he was really good. I think he did a great job.
Absolutely. I thought he was good. Yeah, I am curious to know what you think about it, MSK, when you finally do see it.
Yeah. Which movie?
The Sinners.
Yeah.
Sinners. Oh, because they said that's for my people. It's like, hey, they made this for you. It's just crazy.
It's for everybody.
It's like, I always just kind of looked at, like, I understand movies should have their target demographics, like, like Paw Patrol. Like, if you're an adult that really likes Paw Patrol, it's like, okay, you're probably a weirdo. You should probably stay away from schools. But like, yeah, like in theory, yes, Paw Patrol is for everybody. But like, there's a core demographic every movie should try to, tackle, right? Like Jurassic Park, I'd imagine was from, like, you can have all encompassing ages movie like that too. But like Barbie, like, we're not really supposed to be the target audience for that. Yeah. Like, that's made for women. But if you are a guy that likes Barbie, you probably like taking it up the ass. So, like, more power to you on that one. But, good Lord. And when women showed up for that, and I'm glad they did. See, women put their money where their mouth is with Barbie, made it the highest. The fact that movie is Warner Brothers' highest grossing movie ever. That's crazy to think about. All the classics they put out throughout the years. Barbie beat out a Batman and Superman movie. That's crazy to think about at this point.
Well, if
You know,
give
that
people
really
what they
doesn't
want.
shock me, though.
Really? Oh, okay.
No, no, it doesn't. The reason why it doesn't shock me is because they hadn't come out with a movie quite like that was just a brand for women like that. And so they just all flocked to Barbie. And then it was marketed so well with Oppenheimer that you had to go see Barbenheimer that weekend. I mean, it became an event.
Oh, they
So
fucked over
it
Tom
doesn't
Cruise,
shock me.
remember? You remember that? Like they had Tom Cruise put out what was it was called Dead Reckoning Part 1, or it was gonna be called Part 2 or whatever. And then they had him put out Dead Reckoning, and then they had 2 big blockbusters ready to go the next week. Man, they really screwed that guy on putting out that movie in that week.
They had a whole
Oh,
IMAX issue with all that too. I don't know. They like I guess Dead Reckoning couldn't be in IMAX as much or something, or because of it, and that hurt their box office. So that's a big thing. You got to watch the IMAX because there aren't as many IMAX screens. So you got to kind of pace yourself if you're going to be on IMAX. You got to make sure you're not running into that competition because theaters got to make a choice. So.
And then it didn't help that Sound of Freedom turned out to be such a big hit because that released right around the same time as that Mission Impossible. So that ate into some of the box office that Mission Impossible could have gotten.
Did you see Sound of Freedom?
I did.
I didn't see it in the theater. My brother's girlfriend told me it was really good, and she really enjoyed it, and he liked it. So I got a CD or a DVD of it from the library, and I thought it was a good movie, but it just really made me pissed off.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I wanted to like just hurt somebody who's involved with that stuff. It got me so. You just, I don't know. It's one of those that kind of stick with you. You know, you see a movie like that, and you see the abuse, and you see, and you just you get enraged. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen the TV show called Mayor of Winningham? Or Mayor
no,
of,
I didn't see that one.
Mayor of Easttown. I'm sorry.
Oh, Mayor. That one. Yeah, I did see that.
I'm thinking of Mayor of Winningham because I just watched a movie that was in there. Mayor of Easttown, and the scene in there where she is the daughter with Down syndrome.
Yes,
and the boy in the school trips her and she falls and they're all laughing at her. I literally wanted to go through the screen and punch that kid in his face. Like I honestly, if I was a teacher in that school, I would have been in jail because I would have rammed that kid's head into a wall. I was so pissed off because I have some family members with disabilities and friends with kids with disabilities. And that made me angry. Like I was physically angry. Like I said, if I was a teacher in that school, me and that kid would have been tussling, and it would not have been pretty. I mean, I'd be in jail, but it would not have been pretty. Because that's the kind of thing with Sound of Freedom when you can you evoke that emotion, you know, because you're so angry of how they treat somebody. I think that's when they do a good job. If they either get your heartstrings or they get your emotion up, they make you laugh. Those are the movies you remember, you know. And if like I remember watching The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy. And it made me laugh, you know, so much that I just continue to have fond memories of that movie. And the same thing with Mayor of Easttown. I remember that movie because it evokes such strong emotion from me. But anyway, yeah. You got the John Campea.
You're good. So this was a video. As people know, this kind of show follows a very similar format. Basically, you have one topic. We talk about it during the show in a live stream, and then that topic is clipped out. So this was from one of his shows, I think in the past couple of days, with the whole Paramount and Warner Brothers merger. Now, I want people to understand, because there's many more problems that come with Paramount and Warner Brothers merging potentially than just DC. But since people are just nothing but a bunch of smelly fat nerds who don't shower and for some reason only eat Doritos and drink Mountain Dew, I only care about this. So I will focus all of my attention on this. All right, so this begs the question. Would James Gunn leave pending this merger actually happens through government approval, right? I'm going to say I don't know. Currently, right now, if I had to place any bets on it, like if you had a gun to my head, that's a little too serious. People say, like if I had a poly market bet, right? And I were to give you odds on him leaving, I would say 50-50. I just don't see him as the person that would stay under that kind of leadership, only because him and Peter Safran have talked about in these kind of, I don't say press conferences, but like they give these presentations to the public, and me and Bob and the other Gray used to be here talked about this a lot in other videos where the other day like announced a bunch of shit, and he's announcing a lot of this stuff, and a lot of that stuff might not end up coming out at all, or just might end up getting just straight up canceled because, looking at the situation today, it turns out Paramount and, well, it turns out like from a lot of the other media outlets, what they're alleging is Paramount is going to end up releasing a certain amount of films from Warner Brothers and a certain amount of movies from Paramount. So obviously, even if they were trying to build the DCU, it will be a lot more harder to do it pending all the plans that James Gunn and Peter Safran already laid out before, like a bunch of these animated shows, movies, live action, movies and TV shows. I just don't think he stays personally, only because I think Paramount would want to kind of have a DC universe in the vision that they want. Because like James Gunn's talked about this even when he was first brought over. It's like, when, or no, it was The Rock. Maybe it was The Rock. Like The Rock had brought this up too. Like, hey, when someone kind of wants to do something, they want it in their own vision. That's my own personal prediction. Is that going to happen? I don't know. And a lot of people have said like, well, James Gunn's going to stay because his movies are producing a lot of money box office wise. Guys, I don't know how else to explain it to you. Even if you liked his Superman movie, it did not perform very well box office wise. It did not. People keep saying like, well, it got $100 million in profit, even though they give you no sources to where that money came from. Because usually you can say like, oh, it got that money from toys. It got that money from Vide. It got that money from sponsorships. Anywhere. It doesn't say any of that. So the updated number for that movie now is not 616. It actually got 624. So that's still not good. Like we're saying, that's still bad. That's not good. Okay. Supergirl coming out. I don't think it does very well at all. Like I said before, I think Supergirl makes as much money as Venom 3 did. So like that's 430, 450. That would be a flop, depending on budget and marketing. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Clayface, like we said here before, has the best chance of making profit because budget's really low. Horror movies have that kind of thing where they can have a lower budget, lower marketing, and they can ink out higher profits. But Peacemaker and Creature Commandos ratings weren't all that good. They didn't really achieve anything, honestly.
Yeah, the Peacemaker ratings weren't very good in season 2. I don't recall season 1. And Creature Commandos, they put it up on YouTube for free after the show ran. I didn't even know that. I didn't hear about it. I heard it on another stream. I mean, I watched it when it came out, and I thought it was a good show. I enjoyed it, but
yeah, people said they like it. It's not
I liked it too.
Yeah,
it was fun. For what it is, it's fun.
Yeah, didn't light up the world with ratings. It's if people aren't watching it, I thought Andor was a good series, but it really wasn't watched that by a lot of people. So
and I agree with this too. I liked Peacemaker season 1 a lot. I thought it was very good. I didn't. But that happens a lot with sequels, seasons, and movies. You have to kind of come to this aspect when you get older. Sequels will always generally tend to be not as good as originals. This is how it's supposed to, or preceding stuff before it. But I just don't think he stays. Like James Gunn, I'm not even trying to be political. I'm not even trying to be political, but I just don't get the feeling a person like that stays. I just don't see it. Also, looking at the landscape right now, if they're only going to release a select few amount of movies from Warner Brothers, didn't they reveal a number? It was like 20 or 15 for both. Yeah, so that's at most, 2 DC movies a year? Now, to be fair, that's not bad. 2 movies a year in a franchise, as we know with Marvel, having more than 2 is already kind of pushing it, right? Like when you have 3. So, honestly, I don't see it. And keep in mind, the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger that we'll cover more in depth in another show, actually, that is going to also give Paramount a lot of debt too. Like they're going to have $59 billion in debt, something like that.
They're assuming about 60 billion.
Yeah, I saw the number. Hold on, I think I have the number. Give me 1 second.
Okay, you're good. It's big. Yeah,
because I saw it today, and I bookmarked it here real quick.
You're good.
Okay, so yeah, the debt is supposed to be 79 billion in debt.
Wow. That's bigger than the number I saw. So yeah. Jeez. But that's how they do it. You take over a company, you just assume their debt, and yeah, I don't know. I don't. When you get those numbers, it's so outrageous and so big. I can't even comprehend it and how they make that work.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you're taking on that, because so basically, Warner Brothers actually ends up because they had $80 billion in debt. So after the merger, they shaved off what 20 billion of that, 21 billion. It's like, did anyone really win in that? Because and I know Netflix was a worse partner between the two. I understand that, but at least all their debt would have been wiped away. They were going to just wipe the whole slate clean. It's completely clean because they had Netflix just has kind of the thing that billionaires had. They have this thing called "fuck you money." They just kind of have that. Paramount doesn't have "fuck you money" because Paramount had to merge with Skydance like last year. You know, now I don't know.
Or the Ellisons are like the sixth richest people on the planet, so I don't think they're worried too much about money. But that I don't.
You never know when it comes to this stuff.
They do, but it's all assets, and you own this and you own that. And I know Tony Khan, he owns the AEW Wrestling Federation, but he also owns a soccer team and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's estimated, multi-billionaire. And people always talked about when he started his AEW promotion to compete with WWE. He said, well, he has more money than Vince McMahon. I said, well, they got more assets, but it's not like he's got this huge pile of money in his basement. And he doesn't he's not like Scrooge McDuck diving into gold coins and swimming around. Money's tied up. So, but you get these numbers, and like when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he sold some stock, and I don't know how he did it. It's like, and he gets investors, and who are these investors? And somebody gives them, I'm going to give you $400 million to help you buy Twitter or something. And that's why I guess I'm broke and I'm living in a small condo and I drive a 2015 Honda Civic because, I just don't know, I don't make good money decisions, and I don't know how it all works. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what he had to say, because apparently because usual numbers for this guy's videos are like, what, 10, 20K average. This one got 79. Holy fucking shit. Oh, can't wait to hang myself after this. Oh my God, there's no audio because this is muted because I'm a moron. Do not discredit my ability to play the internet, people. Gosh. All right.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm, of course, John Campia, and we have some absolute madness going on in the industry today. If you haven't heard the news yet, and where have you been, the dust is finally settled on the most insane bidding war in Hollywood history. Paramount Skydance, led by David Ellison, has officially won the battle for Warner Brothers Discovery to the tune of $110 billion. Netflix is out, the Ellisons are in, and the entire landscape of the DC universe just completely shifted under our feet. Now, look, the big headline coming out of the Paramount camp today is that, according to the reports, Paramount wants to keep James Gunn. They want him to stay on as the architect of the DCU. But guys, I am telling you right now, I don't see it happening. I expect James Gunn is going to walk before this merger is even fully clear to the regulatory hurdles. Today, we're going to talk about...
So, James Gunn's contract, if people don't know, extends to pretty much to when Man of Tomorrow is supposed to come out.
Yeah, it's
right?
2027, right? That's what they're saying.
I think he finishes that and leaves, because I don't even believe the people that were in charge of Warner Brothers before the Paramount merger, did they really believe in this guy as much as they thought? Because I'm pretty sure after they saw Superman's box office numbers, they're like, you get one more year on your contract, and then we'll kind of see how it plays out, right? Because if Man of Tomorrow doesn't perform better than the first movie, that would be crazy. Would it be crazy if they performed very similar? It got like 650. It'd be like, oh God, goodness gracious.
I think a lot's going to depend on what happens with Supergirl and with Lanterns. If Supergirl does better than expected and Lanterns actually turns out to be a good show and have some good word of mouth, then it's possible that could give Superman some hype. Because right now, I know a lot of people's hype concerning Man of Tomorrow just isn't there. And of course, there are those that really liked the last Superman. I didn't particularly like it. I was disappointed, but yeah, I'm not knocking anybody that did like it because I don't think it's a terrible movie. I just didn't particularly like it myself. That being said, the box office still wasn't what they had hoped for. You can't tell me that they walked into that saying, "Oh, we want to make $600 million."
No,
They
wanted
to
a
make,
billion.
yeah, they wanted to make more than that, especially after those first couple of trailers generated a lot of hype, and it just didn't carry over into the box office. Superman just didn't have the legs that they had hoped that it would. Now, if Supergirl does really well and Lanterns does really well, that might get people excited again going into Man of Tomorrow.
That could help. I know. I think it was Robert Meyer Burnett said that Superman did really well on video on demand, which boosted their money.
Right.
And I know they had a lot of product placements and advertising. Same thing because Fantastic Four came out, the same year, and they did more like associate marketing and advertising with other products, just like Superman. I mean, Superman had like dog food and stuff like that. I remember Pizza or Little Caesars Pizza did the Fantastic Four marketing where you could get a pizza box with each character. So I think, and then they had cereal placement in Fantastic Four. So I think even you factor in things like that, maybe Superman made some money, but when you invest $300 or $350 million in a movie, you want to get that back with big profit on the ticket sales, and possibly VOD. You're not banking on other marketing. And that's why when the investors come in, they're not happy with $600 million because
there's no way. And keep in mind,
good,
guys, people don't understand, these investors are always trying to essentially, if I gave you guys $10 million, I need in their minds, guys, I'm just blinking off of their minds. They're looking at like, I want a 10x return, 20x return. Come on, guys, that's a lot of money. Like, so when you're talking about some of these executives and shareholders, they want big numbers out of this stuff. Now, is that possible for every movie? No, but it's just their expectations are huge based off the money that they're investing into. And I don't know if that happened with Superman. I'm just telling you that right now.
But why Paramount wants him to stay, the massive political wall he's about to hit, and the 5 very specific reasons why the gun era of DC might be coming to a much earlier end than anybody expected. Let's start with the why. Why does Paramount want James Gunn to stay?
I would question that too. I'll be honest here.
That's a big why.
Yeah, I'll ask this too. I don't know if Paramount is the best decision maker either, because I know a lot of people were celebrating that Netflix didn't get Warner Brothers. Keep in mind, for me, I always said this, even in the past videos, it could go either or on any given day because there's pros and cons to both. Guys, you understand? Paramount owns Star Trek, and from everything that I know about Star Trek, I'm not a fan of it myself. They don't make good decisions with that either. Why would they make a decision with DC is beyond me. Like, for some reason, people think, man, they must be running Star Trek pretty well. Are you sure? Are you sure about that? I don't know.
No, they killed Star Trek.
If you want, I can go on a 3-hour tangent right now to tell you how bad they screwed up Star Trek, and it's terrible.
Oh my god!
Like, I think part of the reason it gets people talk about how good Paramount Plus is because of some of the other shows that it has. Yeah, they've done a number with Star Trek, but you look at some of their other stuff, like some of the Taylor Sheridan shows, Yellowstone, Tulsa King, Mayor of Kingstown, Landman. All of these are shows that people talk about how good they are. The newest season of Dexter, I thought, was pretty good. So yeah, they've had some wins, but yeah, you're right about Star Trek. It's bad.
Yeah, because people were basically saying like, well, Paramount's going to make a lot more better decisions for DC than Netflix would. Keep in mind, that's a who knows. That's a mega what if. Given Paramount's decisions with Transformers, G.I. Joe, I would say no. Those are just 2 franchises that are just on top of my head. TNT, I mean, have they made a good decision with that one? Outside of like that animated movie that's getting a sequel coming up next year or this year, have they been making good decisions with most of their stuff? It's been like Sonic. They've made good decisions with that one. That's just because they allow good people to work on that one. Scream, depends on who you ask. Like, all their properties, it really just depends on who you ask about if they're actually good at making decisions at all. We know financially they're not, because they wasted billions on Transformer movies with Michael Bay. Well, so definitely not.
Paramount too. A lot of those decisions were made before Skydance came in and merged with them.
True. Yeah.
So the hope, I guess, what people are hoping for is that with the Skydance influence, and that's the Ellisons, that once they get fully in control of Paramount and then bring in WB under that umbrella, they'll have better decision making. Now we're out to, that's speculation if they're going to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're already, they're talking about they're going to scrap. Kurtzman is done with Star Trek after they're going to do Strange New Worlds last season. And then they have another 10 episode season of Starfleet Academy coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that's gone. But now Paramount said they want to do more movies. Now, they don't know if they're going to do reboots, which I think would be a huge mistake of like the Kirk era stuff, or they're going to do continuations or, or just a whole new kind of thing set in the more current timeline or the next generation on not this 900 years in the future nonsense from Discovery, but they don't know if it'll be like a contemporary ship or something, but there's no big plan right now.
And I'll even add to your point about Star Trek. Guys, do you remember 2 years ago, they announced a Star Trek movie and the cast that was supposed to be involved said, we didn't even know what was even happening. Are they good at making decisions, Paramount? And keep in mind, it's before Skydance came in, but I'll say one franchise they did do pretty well. I saw the second one. The first one, another memory hold movie, but I did enjoy it, was the Quiet Place movies. They do those. I like those. Those are really good. I didn't see the newest one that came out very recently, but those are decent movies, right? It's like, when you think about Paramount, you're like, I mean, they have Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. That's one. You got anything else?
Yeah, they got things, but the this whole thing when they get the Warner Brothers stuff in, they're going to have Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings rights to distribute and all that. Mm-hmm. They just need some solid people to make these decisions and actually make those work for them. Mm-hmm. That, like they said, they screwed up Star Trek and they announced that Star Trek, the fourth one with the Kelvin timeline, which is with, Chris Pine and those guys.
Chris Pine, yeah.
And, they said, oh, we're going to do it, and it hasn't gone anywhere.
It's gone nowhere. Nothing.
And it's not going to. It's going to end. And
I feel like they announced this stuff for shareholders. They have to be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing is with Star Trek, and they got to get somebody in there to understand, Star Trek is a TV show. It's not a movie franchise. Mm-hmm. And the movies aren't going to do that well for them because they can't make one with a budget small enough to make money. I mean, I know the Chris Pine movies did okay and they made a little bit of money, but the last one just kind of tanked and I know it lost money. So, but when they do this, I think they need to come up with an episodic TV show like they did in the 90s with Next Generation and whatnot. Try to get more than 10 episodes so they don't have to cram a bunch of nonsense. And give a nice 20 episode season ordered, put it out there, do some episodic episodes that are, standalone bottled episodes that they call them. And then you could have some of the overall arcing that kind of go along with it. But if they just decide, well, we're just going to do more movies, they're just not going to, people don't go see Star Trek movies that much. They have when the franchise was healthy, but throwing one out there, it's not going to do much for them, I don't think.
And the thing is it still can work as episodic television. Look at the Orville.
Yeah.
The Orville was pretty good.
Yeah. And people, it's critically acclaimed,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, granted, it's technically not a Star Trek show, but it's the closest thing that they've had to Star Trek since, since Enterprise?
Yeah, pretty much. And I heard they want to get, is it Ronald Moore, who did Battlestar Galactica? They want him to not necessarily run it, but be the overseer of the Star Trek franchise. And that would be very good because he did really well with Battlestar Galactica.
Because I think a lot of these properties where they had creative heads, given the political landscape of Hollywood, I think it goes so people don't know comics. Essentially, DC had this with their comic books a while ago. It's the DC All In initiative. Essentially, they like swapped creative teams. I think a lot of these properties are going to get swapped creative teams very, very soon, actually.
Rocket science. David Ellison is actually a smart guy, and he's a producer, and he's a tech-forward thinker, and he knows that the crown jewel of the Warner Brothers acquisition isn't just the back catalog of Harry Potter or Game of Thrones. It's the brand new DCU. Now, the reports are already circulating that the new Paramount Skydance leadership sees James Gunn's reboot as the only viable path to maybe competing with Disney and Marvel.
What?
Well, that's what they see. I don't know if it's going to work.
Oh God. It's just sad sometimes these are the rich billionaires with money. What?
Holy shit.
Thank God they merged with Warner Brothers because the decision making is going to be so much better. I was told the decision making was going to be so much better. That's what I was told.
They've seen the early numbers on Superman.
This isn't real. This is these. All right, I guess.
They've seen the profit margins. They want
On Super.
Looks like you're going to the Shadow Regiment.
stability. They don't want to start over for the fourth time in 10 years. They want the guy.
Hasn't stopped DC ever. When have they given a fuck what fans thought about reboots? They've rebooted for years, people. They haven't given you guys remember what the New 52 was? That was supposed to be a fresh start for all of you. And they went, you know what? Fuck it. Rebirth. That was supposed to be a fresh start. And they went after that, you know what? Fuck it. Another restart. When has this company ever cared about fans and what they wanted? Good Lord.
Who has a 10-year plan already written down and has already started to execute. Now, from a purely business perspective, keeping Gunn is the safe move. But here's the thing, and I say this all the time, business and creative soul don't always play nice together.
That I agree with. I do agree with that. That is very true. But the thing here is, yeah, James Gunn does have a plan. People forget he was hired to be the Kevin Feige of DC. Now, was he the right person to pick for that role? Who knows? You know, I mean, I think based off resume alone, it wasn't a bad decision at the time. But looking at it now, it's like, you know, maybe you're not really fit, maybe in a different area, because the cabinet of people like Tom King and Christina Hodson, it's like, well, if you're saying my advisory board is Tom King and Christina Hodson, well, I'm going to get the rope. And Christina Hodson wrote Birds of Prey and The Flash, which are obviously peak cinema, obviously. Oh, yeah. Absolute amazing superhero films, as I can say myself. No.
What?
And that brings us to the elephant in the room. We have to talk about the culture clash. It's no secret that James Gunn is a very vocal, overtly political individual. If you follow him on social media, you know exactly where he stands.
That's true. James Gunn is in the political world, we call these people scum, like these liberal people. They're actually just worthless. But that's just me. That's how I would describe them, you know. No offense, right? You know, if you believe that there's more than two genders, I would have to believe you're actually mentally unwell. I would have to believe that, right? That would be crazy, right? But, you know, by the by, that's just me just speaking out loud.
He has been a fierce critic of the MAGA movement, and quite frankly, many of the figures that the Ellison family is very closely tied to. David and Larry Ellison aren't just quote-unquote business guys. They are major players in the conservative political sphere. We've seen the reports from Variety and Bloomberg. There is a narrative that the new Paramount is going to be shifting towards a more quote-unquote MAGA-leaning content strategy.
I don't see. Here's the thing: when it comes from people like Variety and Bloomberg, I just don't believe that. Because keep in mind, guys, media outlets like Variety, like this one up on screen here, THR, and all these places, they do report credible things. I'm not saying they've never been credible or anything like that, but usually when you read articles like that, it'll always be like, because we cover them here on the show, you know, like you get the meat and potatoes of the article, like what's actually the substance of it. And then they always have this part of it where it goes like, sources have said that content will be leaning more MAGA related. I just don't believe that. Like, that sounds like that's not a source. That sounds like that Dr. Manhattan meme of like, I just made it up. There's just no way. Well, well,
I was going to say, also, too, what people consider MAGA related, they could just say, well, instead of going by like with the idea that we're like Kevin Feige said, we're going to have more female superheroes than male.
Yeah, that could.
And then they just say,
yeah,
you know, and then they walk that back and they say, well, no, we're going to stick to the tradition and have more male characters because there are more male characters and they've traditionally done better in the superhero media. Then people are going to say, well, you're MAGA, you're conservative, you're hateful. And, you know, so what they consider MAGA adjacent or aligned could just be kind of going back to a more traditional form of entertainment where, you're not necessarily pushing, every TV show or movie has to check a lot of boxes or
Right.
diversity boxes. It's, we're going to do this. And then that's going to set off a lot of people who get really offended anytime you say that you don't want to push the diversity hires or whatever, that you're against DEI, so to speak. So then then what do? They get upset and they call names. And I mean, look, there's people freaking out saying that, Paramount has HBO and they're going to turn CNN into, basically MAGA News Central, and they're crying about it. Like, there are literally people on TikTok were crying.
Dude, you know what's so funny is
literal tears.
It's just funny that people actually care about CNN. I find that hilarious, guys.
Nobody watches it.
Warner Brothers tried to put out a CNN streaming service.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the many great decisions this company has made with their financials, right, over the years. Warner Brothers put themselves in the spot to be an emerging spot. I just want to point out there, Warner Brothers did this all themselves with their horrible decision making. I don't watch CNN for free. The fact that I would even willingly pay for that is actually laughable and downright stupid. But the thing about the whole MAGA leaning thing, I'm not even saying that he's wrong with what he's saying, because I know he's read that somewhere. I'm not saying John's wrong. What I'm bringing up is I don't know if that's the best marketing pitch, is like being like, hey, our content's gonna be more MAGA leaning. Not gonna be,
Yeah.
Good.
I think
marketing.
And it goes both ways, because every time, here's a movie that has a black woman as the lead, there you got people going, well, that's woke.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. And then you have, like I said, now, if you go something a little more traditional, it's going to be, well, that's because Trump told him to, or he's going to, take him off the air, blah, 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 blah. And the funny thing is they keep talking about how Paramount is so pro-Trump. They gave out, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars to South Park, and every episode, all they do is rip on Trump. Like, why would they have him out there?
And then look at Paramount. We just talked about Star Trek. I wouldn't exactly call that MAGA leaning, and then yet they'll have something like Landman, which is very apolitical, or because I wouldn't exactly call that right leaning, because it's not exactly 100% that way.
Yeah. And keep in mind, hey, if they get in control of Warner Bros. At some point, pending government approval, would they have South Park tone down their, rhetoric, as you would say, against Trump? It's like, who knows, right? But I heard those guys have a certain contract where that can't happen, or otherwise you can't get actually sued to oblivion. But I'm able to understand Trump. I remember on one of his Truth Social posts was, because all the media was trying to say that the Ellisons were like his best friends. He said that was laughable. People actually thought that. Like, I remember that very vividly. I remember when this merger was happening between like the bidding war and everything, he had put out a Truth Social post, and people apparently take those verbatim. So I remember that one very, very vividly. It was like he's like, why do people think the Ellisons are like my best friends? That's the way the media spins things. Is like anyone that voted for Trump apparently just must be his best friend, or they must agree with everything that he says and does. And you can't just be a normal thinking person and go, well, there are things he does that I like, and there are things that he does I dislike. It could just be that position, right? It has to be one or the other for these absolute crazy people, Well,
look at Kevin James. Someone asked him why he doesn't talk politics. And he just said, it's not something I do. I'm an entertainer, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to dive into that pool. And everybody attacked him. Oh, you're MAGA. You're MAGA. You voted for Trump. I hate you. I'm never watching your movies again. You go on social media for Kevin James, and everyone just destroys him now. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Oh, when you say that, we know how you voted. It's your responsibility to say Trump's the Antichrist and blah, blah, blah. And I'm never watching your movies again. You're terrible. And all he said was, I don't talk about politics, because I want people to watch my movies. So, it's a no-win situation. And this it's all going to be, it's good. Why don't they just rename the whole streaming service MAGA? Because that's what it's going to be. And
these people are absolutely insane. Like, guys,
crazy.
There's a lot of creatives involved with a lot of this stuff. And if Paramount doesn't want to be dragged in lawsuits for the next checks notes 10 years, they would probably be better off not doing that. Now, keep in mind, this company, as you guys said, with Star Trek doesn't make very good decisions, but first, they're not that stupid, right? They're not that retarded.
But
no
James
way.
Gunn is the exact opposite of that branding. He is subversive, he's irreverent, and he is unapologetically progressive. Can you really
That's probably something. I would say this: if someone is unapologetically progressive, you know they have blue hair, septum ring, pronouns in bio. I'm just pointing out there. This is a guy who let his wife make out with another man in a TV show. Just pointing out here. That's some odd cuck behavior.
see a world where James Gunn happily reports to a board of directors that represents everything he has publicly fought against?
I will say this. It depends on how much value he's placed in his personal life. So not politics wise. I want you guys to understand that I could work for someone, not agree with them at all, but if I get a good amount of money for it, because keep in mind, guys, you have to live. Because I know a lot of people always ask this. They're like, MSK, how can people work for people that they don't like, but criticize that kind of that part of that aspect though? Guys, light bills, gas bills, car insurance, food don't pay itself. Okay. That's just how life works. Sometimes you do have to kind of bite the bullet and accept, like, hey, there are some things I don't like about this at all, and I vehemently disagree, but I gotta make money. Come on, and James Gunn probably got a James Gunn most likely has a very lavish lifestyle because he got a lot of money for becoming the DC Kevin Feige. So I'm just pointing out, if his lifestyle permits, I need that kind of money, he's staying. It's just what it is. But I will say this. Will someone lay it down and be like, hey, I don't agree with this to the point where I can't work for these people? I don't know. Because a lot of people in Hollywood, John brings it up because he's not. People just virtue signal. They say a bunch of bullshit because it gets like social media brownie points. Now, James Gunn, I will probably say, is probably more progressive, which is whatever. I don't care, but it's like a lot of these progressives online just say these things because it just gets them easy followers, easy attraction. You know what I mean? So, Joe, you guys want to say anything?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to restart the video. I was just going to say,
good.
Some people in Hollywood have come out and said that they're afraid to not toe that line, a progressive line, or they're going to lose their job or not get offers. That's been said by a lot of people. And, just if you watch a lot of entertainment, videos and programs, or read the trades and things, not a lot of actors, but then sometimes people just say it anonymously because they don't want to lose their positions. And one gentleman I saw in an interview, it was brought up by Chris Gore, not in an interview, and he couldn't use the guy's name. He said when they actually asked your sexuality and some of these things for Hollywood, and he always puts, I think he puts not transgender, non-binary or something, or bisexual. He always puts bisexual, even though he's not, because he's afraid if he puts down straight, he's not going to get any work. He's not an actor, and he works like on the behind the scenes kind of things, like I don't know, like I'm making this up. It could be a sound guy or a set designer, but he's not in front of the camera. But he's afraid he's not going to get work, so he puts down that he's bisexual.
Yeah.
So,
I know what you're saying. It's like people have even said this too. Like some creatives that you hear about through like these sources, like Variety and THR will put out. Some of these sources, some of these people, you can tell they're just towing the line and doing that only to get work because that's just how the landscape has changed over the past 10 years.
I don't care how many zeros are on the check. At a certain point, the creative friction becomes a wildfire.
I don't know about that. Some people, I would say this, people sell out for a lot less. I'm pointing out, and people sell out for a lot more depending on who you are. It depends on his lifestyle. If he has a lifestyle where he needs that money, I don't know if any other studio is going to be offering a guy like him that kind of money that they're paying him right now on Peter Safran. I'm pretty sure they would keep Peter Safran. That guy's been around for like a long time, actually. But because I remember this guy got what, 15 million just from being the studio head, right? What studio right now is going to be like, you know what, James Gunn, you're gone. And keep on, because he has progressive politics. Who knows? I'm just saying, I don't think so.
Has already been fired once by a giant corporation for his past edgy humor. He knows how these corporate winds blow. But listen, don't get me wrong. It's not just about politics. There are 5 other major mechanical reasons why I expect James Gunn to hand in his keys by the time his contract expires in spring of 2027. Reason number 1, the debt cutter's axe. Paramount isn't just buying Warner Brothers Discovery, they're assuming nearly $90 billion in additional debt to do it. To make this work, they've already told investors that they're looking for $6 billion in synergies. And you know what synergies means in Hollywood.
Yep. And keep in mind, that's why money-wise, Netflix was the better partner, specifically only, and actually one of the main reasons, money-wise, Netflix would have just wiped the whole debt clean. They're just gonna just pay it off themselves because they're just that wealthy. Good lord! But they're gonna have to cut people. Like I heard they already gutted like their animation department. That guy you guys just said, Alex Kurtzman, I forgot how much money he got for producing Star Trek shit. He got a lot of money for doing that. Buddy, we're gonna have to renegotiate that. Just either he gets his contract renegotiated to a lower amount, or he just goes. You know?
Oh, he better go. If they want, I'll drive to his office and pack it up for him and throw his stuff out in the front door.
Oh my god!
I'm so sick of his garbage he's throwing out there. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead with that.
You're fine. No, you're fine. You're that's actually going to happen with a lot of these guys. Like a lot of these people that have these big contracts right now that were under Warner Brothers, either they get renegotiated to a much lower amount, or you just leave, or you just take the pay cut. That's what it is, or you get fired. That's how things work.
It means budget cuts. James Gunn's vision for the DCU is expensive. We're talking massive theatrical slates, high-end TV like lanterns, and a commitment to quality. If the
commitment to quality produces Superman,
well, look good.
You know what? My wife looks good. Personality-wise, could go either way.
Ellison start telling Gunn he has to cut $50 million out of the next Supergirl movie or scale back the Super Films integration, Gunn
honestly, that's not a bad idea. Some of these movies, budgets, not just superhero movies, budgets need to be turned down. Like you end up finding out a lot of, well, we know this stuff beforehand because we do this stuff, but like you end up coming to find out a lot of these movies are like 90, 80, $100 million. That doesn't sure reflect in that movie's visual quality. There's no way. Some of these movies' budgets need to be turned down. That is a good thing if that were to happen. Like, why does Supergirl cost potentially $150? Why? You know, unless labor costs are just that much these days. Who knows?
Gunn is going to walk. He's not a cost cutter. He's a filmmaker. He's a world builder. Reason number 2, the end of his creative autonomy. You see, right now, James Gunn and Peter Safran essentially have their own kingdom at DC Studios. Under David Zaslav, they had a direct line. But in the new Paramount Skydance structure, there's a whole new layer of tech-focused executives. Skydance is very into AI-driven recommendations and virtual production efficiencies. Gunn is a guy who likes his practical effects, his specific needle drops, and his creative freedom. The moment he starts getting those notes from tech-first committees about how to make Superman more monetizable for an AI algorithm, he's gone.
Damn. Well, to be fair, if he just leaves just based off that, then he wasn't cut off for the job. If you leave just on that alone, just one recommendation, it's like, dude, you were never here long-term anyway, you know? But who knows? This is how that kind of thing works.
Reason number 3, the mission accomplished exit. Look at the timing. His contract ends in early of 2027. By then, Superman will have been out, Supergirl will already be in theaters, and Lanterns will have already hit the air. He will have successfully launched the Gods and Monsters chapter of the DC.
Perhaps this shit got canceled and retooled.
Yeah.
What happened to Authority? Remember how he said he supposed to be producing Authority, that Amanda Waller show, Paradise Lost? People had said that Paradise, so the trades came out and said Paradise Lost has gotten shelved and canceled. And Gunn was like, I came back from vacation to read all this bullshit, and he also said like none of that's true. Keep in mind, he does this thing where he says things aren't true, but then when you find out about this shit, this still hasn't come out. Like that Waller show is canceled, Authority's not coming out, Paradise Lost is not coming out. Remember that Swamp Thing with James Mangold?
Yeah.
That's gotten nothing announced for it ever since the announcement itself. I'm just saying, like, he can say things are bullshit all they want. That doesn't make them actually bullshit. And keep in mind, we found out Christina Hodson was writing the Batman movie because he literally went out of his way to be like, she's a truly great person and I love her and she's just the best woman since the last woman that I met. It's like, dude, we know she's writing the Batman movie. So it's weird how he'll go out of his way to be like, this isn't right, this is wrong. It's just, you can tell when it's right or wrong, depending on how he's phrasing it.
To you. He can walk away with his head held high saying, I built the foundation, now it's somebody else's job to maintain the house.
See, I think that's very likely that he does that.
Probably
just
does that,
turns around and says, okay, I started it, now somebody else can take it over.
That's possible. Well, they could still get rid of him and continue on the universe they have. They could keep all the actors.
They still have Peter Safran. He can
move that,
right?
to keep the vision going, which I might recommend, because I don't think James Gunn is good enough as the overall overseer of everything. I like him doing movies and things, but he doesn't have anybody telling him no. So when he did Superman, he had nobody saying, well, some of the stuff you're putting in here really isn't Superman. So, and you can't tell the guy, no, he's in charge. But I think, they gave him total freedom with Guardians because no one was expecting anything. And then he had that success. So, of course, let him do Guardians 2 and 3, which was great.
Hey, I like the Suicide Squad movie. I really liked that.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Yeah, he did very well with that. But I think that's where his wheelhouse is. He took those movies like Suicide Squad and Guardians are just characters that nobody cares about or knows about. And not nobody, but to the general public. But Superman's a whole different ball, a whole different thing. And I don't know. I don't think that's where he succeeds. But I think you can tell he's going to have a lot of influence on Supergirl, even though he's not directing it. Because the thing with Lobo, you look at the previews, it looks like a Guardians kind of movie. With her, I think that's a character you can get away with because you're going to have Lobo in it and her, where she has been around for 80 years now or 70 years, 70, something like that. People know her, but the people aren't as attached to her. So that could be a good movie. I don't know if it's going to be a successful movie. Yeah, it could be a pretty good movie with his style. But I just don't think Superman or Batman works with his style.
If you might, the Batman Brave and the Bold movie that was supposed to be launched with Andy Muschietti, which is probably not aged that well. But keep in mind, we keep getting updates on that one that it's not even going to be what we originally thought. It was supposed to be based off the Grant Morrison run. If you guys even know what that is, then that's pretty hard to do. That's pretty random to do for a first Batman movie. Especially the Grant Morrison run. It's basically, if you watch that DC animated movie with Deathstroke and Damian, remember that part where Talia's implying that she, graped Diddy Bruce? Yeah, that's kind of what that is. That is probably not the best interpretation of Batman you want people to show up first. Just saying, just pointing out. Just pointing out there, probably not the best. I'm not saying his run is even bad, right? I'm not even criticizing him on that. I'm just saying, probably not the best version of Batman you want to show initially starting out. Just pointing out.
He's a filmmaker at heart. He loves the Guardians of the Galaxy. He loves Peacemaker. He might just decide that running a studio under the thumb of a massive debt-ridden conglomerate like Paramount isn't as fun as just getting back behind the camera.
Oh, but he'll do it for Disney, right? Disney fired him for, I'll be honest here, rightfully so things. I agree with that's very rare. I agree with Disney, but I think they did it good. I think that's a good thing they did because those tweets were fucking gross. I will say this. He has no morals when it comes to that. He quite literally went back to them, even though he said they fired him unjustifiably. He went back to finish Guardians 3 for them. He has no moral line. There's no way. He has no moral. Based off those tweets alone, he has no moral line. Second of all, he literally went back to Disney, a company that fired him for past tweets. Were they right? Was they right to fire him? I would say yes, because that's just, you can't have that. That's unacceptable. But he doesn't, I don't think he has a moral line. I disagree that he has a moral. He doesn't. There's no way he does. Warner Brothers has a moral line. Really? No way.
For an independent project. Reason number 4, a world of options. As I mentioned earlier, we all remember the incident when Gunn got unceremoniously fired at Disney.
I will say not. If you actually read those tweets, I would say I'm not that person to defend these guys at all. But if you have a brand and if parents find out that he said those things, that is going to look bad. That does look bad.
They were pretty gross. what he said. I mean, he said it was a joke, but
keep in mind, the Gina Carano thing, Disney's wrong for that for different reasons. That will look bad on a company if you do that. Now, keep in mind, was he the only one to say these things? No, but that looks bad for a family brand to keep someone like that. It just optically looks bad. And I imagine he was mad when they fired him, because I could understand that perspective. But he literally went back to them to direct Guardians 3 and that holiday special.
Well, I think part of that also, though, was I think he wanted to finish Guardians. I think that's really what it came down to. So
Yeah.
when he got the opportunity, whether he was happy to work with Disney or not, I think was irrelevant. I think he just saw it as an opportunity to finish his story. And this kind of goes back to what John Campea was saying, that he's a filmmaker. He wants to tell those stories. He wants to be behind the camera. And I think in this case, what he's talking about, coming back for Paramount now that they're going to have all this debt, that could limit him as a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's true. If you got all that debt and you can't say, well, here's a blank check, go make a movie, what's he going to do? He's going to have to follow the rules and say, well, instead of $250 million budget, I'm going to get a $175 million budget. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, you can make a movie for that, but who's to say if he's going to want it? And like John Campea said, maybe they're going to start telling him, well, our algorithm is telling us this would make a better movie. And he would say, no, I'm going to do it my way. And that might lead to friction, because you never know. It could lead
and what happens does the algorithm benefit my show? Never does.
Well, actually, MSK, I think you're not benefiting your show. So I don't think it has to do with the algorithm.
These algorithms never help me, even though they said they're always advancing.
Major studio in Hollywood lined up at his door to offer him whatever he wanted to come and create for them. Now, ultimately, he decided to go to Warner Brothers, and the rest is history. James Gunn's stock has only gone up since then, and he knows that as well as.
Huh? How did it go up? Like, how is it up since he's? I mean, I don't think he's done a terrible job at DC, but he hasn't. I give him a C- right now.
2 TV shows and a live action movie. Ratings were not good for either show, and that Superman movie did not break even. Hello?
And he
that's in the reverse. His value is keep in mind, they always fail upwards in Hollywood. So to be fair, that's just their thing. But I don't know. If I had to give this guy a report card so far, it'd be like a C- probably.
Yeah, that's what I said, a C-.
Yeah. What in the world is wrong with these people?
We do. And the moment that he walks out of Warner Brothers, his inbox is going to be flooded with offers from everyone.
That just goes to show you how I would say desperate companies are, because he has one style that he's very good at. That's not now looking back on it, probably not a style to lead something unless you just want that specific style for a franchise.
He's going to have a massive all-you-can-eat buffet in front of him. He'll leave and he'll have his
Lionsgate.
It's over 9,000.
Lionsgate. What the guys? Look up Lionsgate's financials.
Oh, I can't even think of the last Lionsgate movie.
Fatality.
Lionsgate. Okay. Sony, Disney, these 3 out of Lionsgate, get the fuck out of here. I like Lionsgate, but Lionsgate's not rolling out the red carpet for this guy.
Pick of where to go wherever he wants. Reason number 5, the MCU prodigal son returns. Everybody knows James Gunn and Kevin Feige have a very close relationship.
Gay. Just saying,
I actually had the 2 of them on my show once together.
Oh, that's just also gay.
Gunn even confirmed that when he took the DC job, the very first person he called was Kevin Feige. And prior to leaving Disney, Gunn was actually elevated by Feige to sort of be in charge of the galactic side of the MCU. Feige
this is stuff everyone already knows. I know this stuff for years. Yeah. Okay.
Has changed the industry, but at some point, sooner or later, he's going to move on to new challenges. And right now, there's absolutely no heir apparent to take over Marvel whenever he does decide to do that. James Gunn coming back to Marvel as Feige's main creative general is a win-win. Marvel gets a wildly successful director of MCU films back, as well as somebody who now actually has CEO experience running a comic book films.
Eventually, do you guys see Kevin Feige eventually not producing MCU movies in the next, 5 years?
I do. I think you can only do it so long, and I think he keeps seeing the diminishing returns, things going down. And it could be like a Kathleen Kennedy where I think she was waiting to have some success before she walked out, and he could be waiting maybe to see if Doomsday and Secret Wars and stuff, and maybe leave as soon as that, or announce that he's leaving. But he's been doing it. He'll be doing what, 20 years? It might want new challenges.
Yeah, he's been producing movies since what, Reeves' Superman movie? What, 78? That's crazy.
Yeah, he's been around, but as far as the MCU, he's been around with that for so long. And after Doomsday and that might be a time for him to say, well,
like Secret Wars might be his last run. I mean, if James Gunn did quit DC and went back to Marvel, it's like, what is this relationship? Marvel's like, you can have him. No, DC, you can have him. Like, what the fuck, man?
Well, I could see like Lionsgate or Sony or Universal picking up a James Gunn because he could, take some characters and
wait a minute
for them.
Wait a minute. Remember when we did that video like a few days ago where that Sony executive was like, we're gonna have a new reboot of our Sony Spider-Man universe?
Yeah, that could be James Gunn.
If oh no,
that could, but that might work because he'd be taking quirky characters and maybe turning him into something pretty good. Whereas I wouldn't put him in charge of Spider-Man, but if he, you give him
James Gunn directed,
let him do
Spider-Man directed by James Gunn.
Like I could see James Gunn coming in and do like a Chameleon, the villain for Spider-Man, doing a Chameleon TV show or movie that could actually be successful, for on scale. Like, I don't think it's going to be, a two,
Hey, the CEO said fresh new faces. All right, I guess.
But I think that's where his wheelhouse would lie.
To take their MCU over 1, 3, 5, 9 years down the road whenever Feige moves on to his next challenge. And Gunn gets to...
And Feige retires after this challenge. What else would he do? He just retires.
Work again with a fellow creator he loves and respects in Feige and is positioned to take over the biggest IP in the movie business, eventually. I mean, he may or may not end up going back to Marvel. I'm simply making the point that it is very viable and would make perfect sense. So while Paramount is out there saying James Gunn is our guy, I'm looking at the board and I'm seeing a man who is ready to move on. The politics don't match. The corporate structure is shifting towards tech optimization, and financial pressure is going to be immense. And he's just going to have far too many other better options.
How would it be any different at Disney now? I just don't understand. Like, okay, let's say he hypothetically does do this. How would it be any different at Disney with the MCU currently, where, outside of like your Avengers and your Spider-Man movies, their movies don't perform as well as they used to? This is just what we can see, So I don't know how he goes to Marvel, becomes their CEO, and it just gets better reception-wise,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do differently than
maybe
Kevin
make
Feige.
Guardians 4.
I mean, he's making some decisions there at DC with his writers and stuff that you got to scratch your head. I mean, when you have the Birds of Prey writer writing, isn't she writing Batman now or something, or the Wonder Woman movie? And I'm like,
she pretty much is. After what he said,
or Teen Titans, it's like, I don't know about that. Is there more in this? Oh no, I was just saying, is there more in this video?
Themselves to him. But what do you guys think? Do you think?
Oh no, I think you can suck my dick. No, I'm just joking. But I don't know. So you might say the hierarchy of the DC universe is about to change. Oh my god, fucking hell. All right. I'll be honest here. I don't know. Is he right on a lot of this? I do agree with a lot of what he said. It's just that I don't know what the benefit of it would be for the MCU taking him back again for a third time. It would be a third time.
That's the one that I don't know about. As far as about him staying at DC, I think it's very possible that he finishes with Superman and he just leaves at that point and is like, okay, well, now somebody else can take it out. I launched the universe. Now it's up to you guys to run it. But as far as to go back to Marvel, I just don't know if that's in the cards. I think it's more likely he steps away and does something completely different.
Mm-hmm. That might make some sense for him. I mean, I don't know if he wants to stick with the superhero genre or getting to something else. I mean, that, it's on him because he's done a lot of other different kind of movies. But I think if he goes back to Marvel, I don't, like you said, MSK, I don't think it changes much, makes it much better than what Feige's doing with him there.
Yeah, because essentially, if he goes back around this time frame, because we know they're ushering in X-Men pretty much with Doomsday, with them going to the Fox X-Men Marvel universe, that would mean that James Gunn would be in charge of like the Mutant Saga, because we know it's going to be called the Mutant Saga. I can't wait for the headlines to be like, the next phase of Marvel is called the Mutant Saga. You don't say. It's like the Nicolas Cage thing. You don't say, huh? Crazy. But James Gunn leading the Mutant Saga, I just don't see it. There's no way. He would probably be in the same position as Kevin Feige, but I wouldn't say CEO. There's no way. I just don't see it.
Well, he could just be put in charge of the Marvel division, be the Kathleen Kennedy of Marvel or Kevin Feige of Marvel. But I don't know. I don't see where that. I mean, he has CEO experience now, like John Campea said, but maybe he doesn't want to do that. Like maybe he realizes that being the top dog isn't as fun as you thought. I mean, he may love it, he may not. I don't know, but
Walter says, "Have you seen Marvel movies?" Sadly, yes. Sadly, we have. We've seen all of them, pretty much all of them at this point. I'm not even like he would be a benefit as far as like directing potentially movies, because his name would give you some money. It would,
yeah.
But I'm talking about being in a boss position where he's the overseer of Marvel. There's no way.
Yeah, it's tough. Know. It's a tough job. I mean, I could see if they do a soft reboot on the MCU and they put him in, they bring him back, and like Campea said, he was in charge of the space part of Marvel, the MCU. Maybe let him do that again. Maybe give him some characters, even like, could you imagine him doing like a New Mutants, young kind of thing that might fit him because it's a little more quirky, or maybe do a Starjammers, which is a Marvel.
Have James Gunn do a Kite Man movie. Let's go.
Hey, Kite! Did you see the Kite Man cartoon on HBO?
I forgot there was a Kite Man cartoon.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. It was okay. It was a little ridiculous, but it wasn't because it went along with that Harley Quinn.
Didn't that get canceled? I don't hear anything about that show anymore.
I think they might be coming out another season of that cartoon, but I think it's over because the third season kind of stunk. But Kite Man was, kind of a spin-off of that. And it wasn't awful, but it was okay. It just something to watch a little bit to, if you need something.
Also, Walter, yeah, I think it's too early to judge right now, but if we're looking at all the pieces on a chessboard and I'm the chess master, we'll see how it goes. Also, last thing before we head out, assuming Gunn is gone, does anyone on the panel have a dream director to lead the new DC studios? If you don't, I get it. I don't have one. That's the thing is, it was hard getting him in that spot because people don't remember David Zaslav. Apparently, because people know I was doing the show, a different podcast then, he was searching for anyone. And to be fair, it was like anyone. They grabbed. Remember that one lady from that lady who ran like the Marvel Fox movies? David Zaslav contacted her to run it. Nobody. And keep in mind, it's not that nobody didn't want to do it. The pressure of doing it was insurmountable, right? So I don't know if there's a person that would want to do it. Because imagine if they do that and they restart again, who'd want to do it though?
Well, I think if they want, like with Marvel or DC, I think what they need to do is have sort of a kind of like a Kathleen Kennedy in charge. Somebody has a lot of producer experience, understands how you get the financing done and things. But I would do it as like almost like a committee where you get 2 or 3 people that are going to run the creative part and they're going to set up the direction. And, maybe somebody would do like in Marvel, you would say, okay, well, I want you to focus on the mutants. And then you're going to focus on maybe the space kind of things or young characters. And then you're going to focus on the bigger names, but have the 3 collaborate to make sure there's continuity and things kind of jibe. Because I think putting that on one person might be a lot, because now you look at Marvel and everything is just kind of there, or maybe put somebody in charge of the streaming, because there's not a lot of continuity. And, there's still debate. I mean, I guess they solved it, but did Secret Invasion come before or after the Marvels? And either way, they don't jibe. So if it's before, there's problems. And if it's after, there's problems. So I think I think they need like a continuity director, and then have some creatives and maybe do a little bit of a committee, and that might be
I think that's exactly the way to do it. You said a continuity director, so yeah, I think you have somebody who kind of oversees the overall direction, says this is where we want to go, here's where we want to end up, this is where we want these types of characters to go. Now you guys go and get them there. I mean, you basically give them the blueprint or the roadmap, but how they get there is where their own creativity comes in.
Yeah, and they need a Bible basically to say this is how it works. Because you look at the Marvels movie, Kamala Khan was just in her TV show. Then she shows up in Marvel and she's doing like kung fu moves and jumping around and fighting like hand to hand. Like, when did she learn any of that? Like like she had her powers and she was learning those, but when did she become a expert in hand to hand combat? I mean, that didn't make any sense.
So I'll also bring this up here because Walter mentioned this in the chat. So the big problem with Marvel is that John Campy brought up in his video about creative control. I'm just pointing out here, if anyone's been paying attention to the MCU forever, Kevin Feige loves to be in control more than the directors. You know, people use the line that goes like this: they cast directors.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, since he is very close to Kevin Feige, I think he would give James Gunn a lot more freedom than other directors, right? But he goes to Marvel, and he's going to be taking. He wouldn't, because he might have. Kevin Feige likes James Gunn more than other people. He would give him less. He would give him more freedom. So, and that's the problem with Marvel, is the freedom doesn't exist with like a lot of these directors. I mean, look at the directors of the last 4 or 5 movies. You know, like people are talking about not Ryan Coogler. Oh my god, Ryan Coogler, not Ryan Coogler. Fucking what's his name? Like a lot of big name directors have said they don't want to go there because creative freedom isn't a thing. So
yeah,
I don't know. So like he can come back and direct movies for them, but it's like, unless quality improves in Marvel movies in a steady direction, nothing really changes. But who knows?
Did you see that? But that's like the whole point of why he's saying that he'll go back to Marvel, is that he would go and kind of take the place of Kevin Feige. So I think that's what brings him back to Marvel if he goes that direction. I just think he's going to do something different entirely. I think after he's done, he's going to take a break from the superhero genre. Maybe he comes back to it down the line, but I do think that he takes a break from it for sure and does something different. But if he does go back to Marvel, I think it is to head Marvel up.
Yeah, that probably. Yeah, because I think he would I don't know, maybe he might think it if he goes back just to direct, that would be a step down, unless it wasn't part of Marvel. Like Disney said, okay, we're going to let you do some other kind of movie other than Marvel. Like, so give him the creative freedom to maybe create characters that can live within the Disney umbrella, but not be part of the MCU or, Toy Story or anything like that. It would just be its own thing. Maybe, but I can't. If he goes back to direct, he might think, well, this is like kind of a step down. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know the man.
Oh, so Walter, so you would prefer like the Batman approach, but ultimately with this, I'm not really the Batman with Robert Pattinson was all right. So I mean, not really. Like if it didn't come out for a sequel, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. But I'll see what they do for a second movie. I'll be there. Opening weekend.
But I kind of agree with Walter. I think what you're doing with the Batman, I think, is the way to go. I mean, look at you've got the movie, then you had the Penguin TV show. I wouldn't be surprised that if the Batman Part 2 does well, that we do get that second season of the Penguin and maybe a third film to kind of close that out. Now, granted, it takes Matt Reeves quite a while to get all this stuff out, but I think that's probably the better way to go. Go back to these smaller standalone projects where you can do a series of films within a particular IP, and then you've got something else going that's not necessarily tied to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. If you wrap that up with another season of Penguin and another Batman movie, I think that could be good for the franchises, for the DC franchise superheroes in general, because they were. Penguin was well received and people really liked it. It was a good show. And the Batman did pretty well as far as financially, I think. So if the second movie does really well, it could just be a nice feather in their cap.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Batman Part 2 actually does better, because I think a lot of people liked the Penguin so much that I think that
great.
actually does help the film.
Yeah.
All right. So
Oh,
yeah,
one thing I was going to say is I think Jon Favreau might be a good person to put in charge of the creative aspect of the MCU. Put him at the top, design things out, but also give him 2 or 3 people of creatively underneath that he can rely on to, as he's overseeing the general direction, he delegates some of the other things, like maybe, like I said earlier, the X-Men people or X-Men characters and maybe young characters, and then the streaming. And then he brings one person in or a couple of people just to make sure the continuity is solid. I think that could be a team that would be better served the Marvel universe. But who am I? Like I said, I drive an old car and I have no money. So what do I know?
Because keep in mind, I can't provide you guys alternatives. I'm just giving you my opinions. But because it's one of those things of like, you're trying this approach, but I don't think that addresses the overall problem. It's like here's a very quick example before we head out. It's like this organization in League of Legends called Fnatic. They keep having the same problems over and over, and they keep thinking if we just swap out a few players here and there, it'll fix the issue. These issues are more deeply rooted than just swapping out one person. It's your literal line of thinking creatively that is the problem. Like, hypothetically, if this came true that James Gunn would leave DC and go to Marvel, does that just magically fix Marvel's problems? Like, he'd be like a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem. You know what I mean? These don't fix the rooted issues that the MCU currently has. A director, because you mind, they say they like women. They're pro-vagina over there. Cool. Your black lady director should not be coming out and being like, that's not the movie I wanted people to see. That's not a good look. That's nothing to do with that's a creative problem right there. That's a creative problem. Directors in Hollywood, high-profile ones, should not be saying, I don't want to work with this company because they give me no freedom. That's not a good look.
Yeah, they need to loosen those reins. Definitely.
Like Harrison Ford only came to the MCU because of money. Because, paychecks, light bill's got a light bill,
Yep.
Last question, and we'll head out. The anthology approach is a wave we see infiltrating a lot of TV series nowadays. Too much fanfare, Fargo, White Lotus, Black Mirror. Well, I'm a White Lotus, actually. I'm not a Black Mirror. I definitely think comics would be well-served follow suit. I mean, although there's always anthology comics out there. Do they do very well? It depends, honestly. But we'll do outros really quickly, and we'll head out. It was a great show tonight. I brought the quality. You guys brought the conversation. Oh,
I bought the good looks.
Oh, that's my line. Oh my God. But Bob, what you got planned coming up that you would like to let the audience know about?
Tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern on my channel, we're going to be doing another episode of Dad's Turn to Talk. We're actually going to be talking Revenge of the Nerds, so that should be kind of fun. We decided to take a look back at that since Robert Carradine passed away, so we wanted to go ahead and look back at that film and have a good time talking about that one. We'll also, I may also have a review out of The Bride. I'm planning to go to see that on Thursday. Again, because I am without my setup, it's going to be kind of a crappy review compared to my normal ones, but it should, I should still get something out. So I am looking forward to seeing that.
So what is this propaganda? This is straight up lies, and this is how conspiracy theories start. These guys literally tell me I don't like Candace Owens because she looks like a chameleon and like she does conspiracy theories. You guys do them. You became her. Good Lord.
Well, you're not paying us enough. So
I'm a slumlord. We should call. I did a show called MSK Slums. That's what I need around here. Oh my God. But Joe, anything you want to let people know about before we head out?
No, not really. I'm still working on ideas for my own YouTube channel. I'm editing my book, and I'll let you guys know when that more progress comes on that. And again, I do have a couple books on Amazon. If you look up Joseph Gray, 2 are kids' books, and one's a romantic short story book, which is actually full of heartbreak. But other than that, just plugging along and looking forward to my next guest appearance on your show, which I believe is Thursday.
Yeah. What else are we gonna happen coming this week? No, guys, I have a lot to do this week. So essentially, as I always outro these shows now, I have podcasts and game streams coming up, and just I don't really know what else to say. Maybe give me all your paycheck. I need reparations. Yeah. That's usually how it works around here. Support me on nothing. I don't like any of you worthless, disgusting, clout chasing bastards. Also says, let us know when you start that channel, Joe, because then we can unsub this channel and follow you.
Hear that, Bob? We have an audience already. I think we need to collab on this one, man.
3 people.
There we go.
There we go. You guys are bringing in the big numbers here. These guys are not loyal. Anytime I bring someone new on, they're like, can't wait to go with that new guy. They're like that girl when she gets a new boyfriend. I can't wait to just give this whole guy my life. It's like, you guys know that's what prostitutes do, right? They do that. That's what you guys sound like. But no.
Michael was hyping me up last time, and I appreciated that. So he's a good guy.
My God.
So, I like that guy. He's pretty cool.
Michael hyped me up too, but then he's like, no, Mac, I hate you. It's like, all right, I guess Michael, Jesus Christ. But no, aren't you still gonna have Dad's turn to talk, Bob?
Yeah, it's on my main channel now. We actually moved it over there since the channel was already monetized, and I got a bigger following over there. So we thought it was just a bigger following than the Dad's Turn to Talk channel. So it was just an opportunity to get more eyes on the show.
Oh no, you did the CEO thing. I pulled the show. The numbers aren't there. I gotta go do it. Same thing with Trump. When he was like, Epstein, he has a lot of girls actually.
It's the greatest show.
It's the greatest show of all time.
It's huge. It's huge. Yeah,
I wish I could actually take credit for that, but somebody recommended that to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm surprised I had never thought of that. And so we moved it over. And we've been a lot more consistent in our viewing numbers since we moved over, and then finally getting super chats and stuff. So that's been pretty cool. I can't imagine why anybody would want to give us money but thank you for those that have. So
I've watched some of your broadcasts and your video reviews. I think they're really good. I enjoy it.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Go there, check them out. The other thing too is when I do get my channel, and I'm really trying for a August-ish launch. It's not going to be on what you see here under Joseph Gray. I got a whole separate thing set up, but I'll let you guys know what that is when I get closer to the launch. I've been working on videos. It's very difficult because this is life, man. It kicks you in the butt every day. It's work and work and work. And,
I always say one video. Or depends on how consistent you want to be. Do you want to upload once a week or twice a week? I think uploading twice a week is pretty healthy for someone new. At least twice a week. That's not bad.
Yeah, I want to get about 4 or 5 videos done that I can upload. I'm thinking about going live. What I'd like to do is upload like 1 video a week and maybe do a live on my own just to get some content banked on there and do things like that. So
Walter doesn't say this about me.
I appreciate that, Walter. I appreciate that a lot.
I don't get this praise from these guys. None of you guys say, "Oh my God, MSK, I love the show. I love the show. It's good for my mental health." No one tells me that. God, man. So
Bob's likable. So
I hate it. I've missed the last few weeks, but oh my God, he never says about my show. It's okay, guys. It's okay.
Yeah, no, Walter's popped in on the stream with us as well, and we always enjoy having him there. And what's been a lot of fun is because we barely started going live back in November.
I remember that. Yeah, it was all pre-recorded. Yeah,
and we and it's been fun to see people coming back. I mean, that's I guess what kind of surprised us because that we got our some viewers and they keep coming back and they're participating more. Our chats are getting a lot more lively and so we've really enjoyed it over there. And all of you guys, Walter, Michael, all of you guys, we see you guys there and we definitely appreciate it.
I didn't agree to them going over there. What? It's just betraying me. It's okay. I'm like Julius Caesar in the Roman Empire. Oh my God. I figured it out. I ultimately became the white man. But thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. We'll see you guys.